a bit closer, right?
You what?
I tried staking a bit closer.
This dark chapter is coming to an end. Without bordering hostages,
It's alright, thank you.
where Hamas's capabilities are dismantled, so it never poses a threat to Israel again. And to our friends here in Britain, let us renew our faith in the future. Let us stand united, Israelis, Britons, Mancunians, and all who cherish freedom, determined to overcome hatred, to defend what is right, and stand on the right side of history. Because together, we will prevail. Together, we will bring them home. And together, we will ensure that light triumphs over darkness. Thank you. תודה רבה.
The next speaker is the proud uncle of Emily Damari, a remarkable young woman who was taken hostage from Kfar Azar on October the 7th and held for 15 months prior to her release. Emily's mother, Mandy, led an international campaign to secure her release. Emily's ordeal also included the loss of 2 fingers, and her injured hand gesture has become iconic. Emily's fortitude and continued public advocacy after her release has been a focal point across the globe. Please welcome Rob Moss.
This is going to be tricky. I've got to use 2 hands here. Good morning, folks. I'm here representing my family, the Moss family, the Damari family. Emily and Mandy. I'm sure some of you met Mandy a couple of weeks ago. She was at your vigil in Manchester, and she couldn't speak any higher of all the people that she met on that day. Firstly, thanks so much to Rafi and the Northwest Friends of Israel for inviting me to Manchester today, and obviously my condolences to the families of Adrian and Melvin and your whole community. A year ago today, strangely enough, I was stood at the side of the stage, just like this one, in Hyde Park in London, in between the Israeli ambassador, Zippy, and Chrissy from EastEnders, strangely enough, whilst my sister Mandy Damari, who miraculously survived the terrorist attack of October the 7th, implored the British government to do all it could to free her kidnapped daughter, my niece, Emily Damari, from the terror tunnels of Gaza. I remember thinking on that morning, thank God it's not me having to speak in front of the thousands of people. But now, here I am up north, beyond the wall, so to speak, and I can really appreciate the pure, absolute panic she felt giving her first public speech in the UK. So thank you for indulging me. But listen, it's a true honour and it's a privilege to stand here today amongst such esteemed company. And I don't mean the politicians, by the way. I mean you, all of you who come out here week after week here in Manchester and across the country, in Leeds as well. I can't not mention them because that's where I live. Holding vigils and rallies for nearly 2 years now. You've stood in the cold, in the rain, and here's some today obviously, and put up with the vilest abuse to demand the release of the 48 remaining hostages and to make sure that they are never forgotten. And hopefully now that we are closer than ever to that goal, we can only hope and pray that this time both sides honour the terms of the current peace deal and that all remaining hostages are finally returned to their families. Families who, don't forget, have also endured 2 years of absolute torment. I'm absolutely convinced, and I was at the time as well, that your prayers, your thoughts, your words, your very presence in these sort of vigils and the rallies that you attend made a massive difference. That collective strength contributed massively to the release of my niece Emily Damari after 471 days in captivity. And the fact that you're still here today, still raising your voices for those who haven't yet come home, it's nothing short of remarkable. I'm glad you're clapping yourselves because you should be. On behalf of my entire family, thank you from the bottom of my and all of their hearts, and especially Mandy and Emily. Since her release, Emily, her mother Mandy, my sister, who many of you will have seen, as I said, a couple of weeks ago, and maybe even on social media at the weekly rally in Shai Negev last night, which is pretty similar to this. I've been to it, and there's probably as many people there as well. They do that every week. It was a place where a lot of people were killed in the desert, and really they go there to remember and to demand the release of the hostages. I suspect last night they were quite jubilant. Hopefully they've got something to be jubilant about come the end of Sukkot. And the rest of the family, we haven't stopped advocating to try and get every last hostage back home. In public and behind the scenes, we continue to do everything in our power to push those in positions of influence to stop playing geopolitical chess with human lives and to bring the rest of them back to their waiting families, who, believe me, and because I know this from personal experience, they have endured their own 730 days of hell. We won't stop, and neither should you, until every last hostage is returned. Of the many still missing, and Emily would want me to say this, the two closest to Emily's heart are the twins, Zivy and Gally Berman. Now I can see Gally up there, some people see his face, I've seen Zivy as well. They're her lifelong friends and protectors. They were kidnapped alongside her from Kibbutz Kfar Aza on October the 7th, and they are still there rotting in those tunnels. Emily said this morning, I think, in the Sunday Times, how on earth could they possibly have spent another 9 months there after her? They must have the strength of God, I suspect. Emily has said many times that she can't feel truly free until they too are safely home. And now we may be closer than ever to that moment. All we can do is keep hoping and keep pushing. Now, this is why I'm really here, because sometimes, especially after the dark days that you suffered this week, and I can't imagine the unimaginable pain that your community has been through, hope is basically what keeps us going. Hope is the thread that's run through our entire journeys, through the nightmare that began on October the 7th and every day since. Even in the darkest hours, we believed Emily would come home. I can't even explain exactly why. It wasn't logical, but we held on to it because it was all we had. That hope was the fuel that kept us going. And yes, we were lucky. A lot of people haven't been. Our story ended with a homecoming. Many others didn't. But from the very beginning, I believed Emily was alive and that one day she would return, and thank God she did. Despite everything, despite the trauma, the time lost, the injuries, she remains physically and mentally strong. Of course, she's missing a couple of fingers, as you all know. I would like to do the sign because it's what she does. But she hasn't lost an ounce of her fire, and neither has her mother. They are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm sure you've seen several of their speeches and her speeches over the last couple of years. So, once again, thank you. Thank you to every single one of you for standing up, for speaking out, for refusing to let the lives of the hostages be forgotten. I know, especially after the horror of Friday's atrocity, it's hard to see anything but darkness ahead. But we have to remember, hope dies last. And while there is still hope, there is still light at the end of this long tunnel. And I'm really sorry for that cliche, but it's true. You can see it coming through the clouds now, just at the right moment as well. How perfect is that? Anyway, I'll leave you with this simple message. Bring them home now. And Yisrael Khan. Thank you very much.
Since his election to Parliament in 2019, Israel and the Jewish community has had an incredible friend in Christian Wakeford. I can testify personally that he is only ever a phone call away to advocate for our community and Israel. Due to his position as a government whip, he is prevented from publicly speaking and has broken with centuries-old protocol to insist that he is able to address us here today. So please welcome Christian Wakeford.
Thank you, friends. 730 days ago, we, along with the world, woke up to the awful news for what can only be described, and we have to call it for what it is, the pogrom of October 7th. 730 days there are still 48 hostages. And as Rob just said, bring them home now. I'm actually really happy to see a Nova Festival flag there as well, because there's another message we need to send, and it's that they will dance again. It started before, but over the last 2 years, the Jew hate in this country, across the globe, has exploded. It's exploded on the streets, on social media, in the NHS, in universities, and just about everywhere we can see. That is what has led to what happened the other day. We hear the message many times, never again. Never again has happened. Words seem hollow, and I see the banner down here. No more words, we demand action, I demand action. Turning to the news on Thursday, I, like all of you, was alerted to breaking news, to numbers of messages, wondering just what is going on. It doesn't seem real when you see stories like this anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in the globe. This was our town, this was our neighbourhood, this was our streets, our shul, our friends, my friends. It still doesn't feel real now. It's surreal. I'm just like all of you. I feel shock, but I don't feel surprised. But to Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dalby, may their memory be a blessing. To Andrew, to Yoni, to Bernard, may we pray that they have a full, speedy recovery. But let me go separately. To Rabbi Walker, to Alan Levy, and to all those who rushed towards danger that day. I'm not sure I could do that. And I think if everyone looks inside, I don't think anyone can answer that question until it happens. They will have my eternal gratitude for running towards danger, doing the right thing, and saving lives, because that is what they did that day, and they are heroes. That word is far too overused in modern society, but they are heroes. I will remember one particular scene from that day, and I was by the cordon for several hours, speaking to as many people from the community as I could. But when I was outside the Jewish Cultural and Leisure Centre, just around the corner on Park Road, we stood outside and had a young family going to pray. Their girls were the same age as my daughter, and the gratitude I saw in their face as they said to CST and to the police, "Thank you for keeping us safe." We shouldn't need that. It's wrong that we need that. And the Jew hate that we have allowed to propagate, it has to end now. As I said 2 years ago outside Manchester Central Library for the first vigil following October 7th, I will stand by you, I will pray by you, and right now I will cry by you, because the community is crying, it is hurt, it is angry, and rightfully so. But right now, Rabbi Walker said outside the vigil on Friday, it is time as a community to improve the Jewish lives. I go further and say it is time as your friends to improve our lives by being your friends. A great man and a great friend has already said today, you are not Jews with trembling knees. You are proud Mancunians. You are proud Brits, and you are proud Jews. And I am a proud friend of this community. But I go further and say, for all those friends who have had trembling knees, who have stayed silent, there is a call to arms now. You need to stand up. You need to stand by this community. You need to show you are a friend. You need to stand up and be counted. That is my challenge to every single friend of a community, whether they have been loud or silent. It's needed now more than ever. Never again means never again. It's already happened, it's too late. So we say it again, we say it loudly, stop the Jew hate, stop it now, Am Yisrael High.
I'm delighted this morning that we are joined by Robert Lgan, the former Member of Parliament for High Peak, who during his term in Westminster was repeatedly on the front line in advocating for the Jewish community and Israel in the chamber, on the media, and despite personal threats to his safety, he was fearless. Please welcome to the stage, Robert Lgan.
I don't stand here as a former Conservative MP. I stand here as a proud Mancunian who grew up in Whitefield, the grandson of the plasterer who helped build Whitefield Shul, the son of the postman who started off as a Shabbos Goy in Broughton Park. I stand here to be with my friends. I wish I could say that I was surprised, but that would be untrue. This had a feeling of inevitability about it. It's been nearly 2 years since the 7th of October, when the rape, murder and abduction of Jews thousands of miles away in Israel led to large numbers of people in our own country taking to the streets to celebrate, to gloat, to intimidate, to incite. You would think such a moment would lead to deep existential reflection about how we have brought ourselves to this point. Instead, we've seen an endless escalation of incitement, constant victim blaming, glamorization of Islamist terrorists like Hamas, brazen anti-Semitism, obsessive calls for the destruction of Israel, open cries for intifada on our streets. As time has gone on, things have become worse and worse. Many in politics and the media, who should know better, have felt the need to pander to those doing the incitement. Some in a desperate hunt for votes, others in a twisted desire for relevancy, and even more troubling, a few out of genuine conviction. And now, Jews are being stabbed and murdered in Manchester as they go to pray on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Coming home on Thursday evening, listening to the radio, I heard a Jewish man being interviewed, explaining how he had a decision to make soon, to stay in Britain and live in fear, or to leave his home behind and live in safety elsewhere. My heart breaks to hear such thoughts spoken out loud. I wish I had some words of hope and comfort to offer you all, but I fear we are heading to a very dark place as a country. Cowardice and wishful thinking have brought us here. This didn't just happen in the last 2 years. This has been decades in the making. Like bankruptcy, such things happen gradually and then suddenly. I choose to look back in anger, but anger isn't enough. I look out today and see you all, and I feel hope. There is good in this world, and it is worth fighting for. We will stand firm, and good will prevail. I stand with Israel, and I stand with all of you.
Our final speaker is Carmel Burke. Carmel served in the Israeli Air Force as a lone soldier, having left her home in Finland to volunteer during the Second Intifada. She was decorated for outstanding service. She is the chair of Manchester UJIA and is a board member of the British Israel Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome Carmel.
friends, we stand together to commemorate those we lost, those we are still missing, and many who continue to suffer. And we stand in shared grief for the senseless murders of Adrian Dolby and Melvin Kravitz, who simply wanted to reflect and pray in their synagogue on the holiest day of the year. 2 years have passed since the pogrom of October 7. 2 years since we woke from our dreams into this nightmare. But instead of nightmares of our sleep, or we try to force our eyes open, instead we try to force them shut. Jewish homes were burning once again. Jews pulled out of their beds and beaten and killed. Women raped. Young people who went to dance chased and murdered. 2 years in which Jews are scared to go on public transport. 2 years of fearing discrimination in the NHS and at universities and in the BBC. 2 years of seeing those so filled with hatred and so lacking in humanity that they have marched in support of rapists, kidnappers and murderers, and they've ripped down the posters of our hostages. 2 years since my friend Hannah Perry, who is the sweetest lady you could ever meet, was kidnapped at the age of 79 and thrown into the hell of the tunnels. 2 years since she saw her sons for the very last time. Rui was shot dead whilst he was fleeing his burning home, and her son Nadav was kidnapped and later murdered. 2 years since Dina and Evgeny Kapisha were murdered in their car together with their 2 children. 2 years since the body of Shani Luk was paraded through the streets of Gaza while civilians threw sweets from the balconies and cheered. 2 years in which we have faced rejection and denial and cruelty and gaslighting, no longer just from the fridges, but now as part of mainstream life. Authors whose stories once moved us, actors we admired, comedians who once made us laugh, and musicians we used to sing along to. We now see them stripped off their masks for what they truly are, weak and cowardly and lacking in morality and decency. For Jewish students, it's no longer enough to choose a university based on where offers the best courses or the best social life, but now where they will be safest. To the vice-chancellors and the lecturers who have allowed their campuses to become hotbeds of anti-Jewish racism, shame on you. When I moved to Britain 20 years ago after my military service, I was proud to be moving to the country which has led the free world in the fight against fascism. Today, as a Jew in Britain, I feel ashamed. Our government is not only no longer a staunch ally to Israel, it is now actively hostile, repeatedly siding against Israel and rewarding those who carried out and supported the terrorist atrocities of 2 years ago with the performative and unlawful recognition of a state. Since Jews were allowed to settle in England, has there ever been a time where so many Jewish families have sat at their Shabbat tables and discussed whether we have a future here than under this one? And as gangs of the hateful have gathered in our streets in the immediate aftermath of the Yom Kippur attack to celebrate the slaughter of Jews, I ask our Prime Minister, is this what you meant when you said you would do everything in your power to keep us safe? Well, know this, whatever happens, we will not be silent. We will shout. We will not go quietly. Know this, the words "never again" are not our plea. Those words are our promise to the world. Never again. Because it's very simple. If you stand with Israel, you stand with freedom, you stand with democracy, and you stand with the rule of law. If you stand with Hamas and their allies, then you stand for jihad and against Israel, liberal democratic values. Choose a side. And do remember the words of Bereshit of Genesis. I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. Because we have had almost 4,000 years of pride history behind us. We have faced worse and have outlasted the Greek and Roman empires, the Spanish and Portuguese inquisitions, the Nazis, the Soviets. We will outlast this. But do not expect us to risk our lives for empty European promises. We have seen too many times your failures. We are not alone today. There are many standing here today in body and in spirit from outside of the Jewish community. To be a friend of Israel and of the Jewish diaspora at this time takes two things. It takes moral clarity and it takes bravery. In standing with us, you have shown that you have the highest of those qualities. Thank you. Thank you. The hatred we have faced, the cruelty our brothers and sisters have suffered, has made us closer. We have shown strength and unity, but it's not enough. We must all do more. A time when young men and women, some of them still teenagers, fight deep inside Gaza against jihadist death cults and keep Israel's borders and skies safe, we have a duty to fight the war against disinformation, defamation, and hatred. As a former soldier, I can attest to the reliance and determination of the magnificent young men and women of the IDF. We must match that courage. At the new year, we pray that the curses of last year should be behind us and only blessings should be ahead. The blessing we need this year is to see the return of the remaining 48 hostages for whom we pray each day. Do not give up. Do not waver. Do not falter. We must do all we can to make sure they are not forgotten and that they are brought home to Israel. Am Israel Chai.
That concludes the speeches. I've been asked to inform everyone that there is something for people to sign over in the back corner for the Heaton Park Hebrew congregation and people selling calendars to raise funds for the hostage families. I'm now going to welcome Serge Feigelman to the stage, who will conclude the rally with some poignant songs and the national anthems. Thank you.
Yeah, nice one sticking around, guys. If you're not subbed, hit that sub button. Really does help the channel out. So I think there's going to be one more speech, and then we're going to go try find some pallywallies, see where all them lot are at. Because there's a protest somewhere, we're going to go and find them out, we're going to go sniff them all out.
אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מיין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעין השם, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן לנו רגליך, אל ינום שומריך, הנה לא יעשו לאישה שומרי
We're doing alright, yeah? Yeah, it's, I don't think there's any more speeches now. I think that's the end of the speeches. Let's doing a song and that, but I'm going to go try and find some Palestine lot, because they are somewhere. I'm just not too sure. We're going to have to go sniff them all out. So I might be doing another live stream later on, maybe very soon. But if not, I've got some more videos that I need to upload. I need to edit them. I've just been lazy. So that'll be up the next couple of days. If you're not subbed, hit that sub button, guys. Nice one for watching. I'll catch you next time in a bit.